today was the last day of class, and even though the semester is not over until May 3rd, that's when everything's due is May 3rd, but we're not meeting again. So what happened was I tried to record the class anyway, and then I realized that the screen share wasn't sharing what I thought it was sharing, and so I just deleted the video, and I'm going to do this a little differently on my own laptop because at least I know that it's recording everything that I can see is being recorded. Whereas with Blackboard, you have to make sure you select the right software. Anyway, I gotta be honest, I was kind of bummed out that nobody came because I really wanted to make sure that you guys had your final project documents set up. And I was going to do some troubleshooting live, and I can't do that when I'm talking to myself. I was going to have you guys actually follow along with me today and then submit what you had in a test submission to make sure that everything looked right, and then I could show you what I got from you. So anyway, just do a little troubleshooting, packaging our document and getting it ready, and I'm just going to go over that right now. So on the agenda for today was showing you guys how to package all your files and everything, but before I do that, I actually wanted to make sure I covered one more thing, and that was the graphic elements portion. So I think it sounded a little bit more complicated than it actually is. It's basically just, let's see, color block, logo, glyphs, clip art, flower shape, text frame. Okay. A color block is this, it's just a block of color that separates the rest of the document from like the main image, for example. So this like lime green color block kind of provides a background for the title, Growing Healthy Bodies and Minds. And it separates it from the image below, and then also from what you might call the footer, or just like the information on the bottom. And so that's a color block. And then logo, I'm assuming that's the logo. I can't really read it. It's such a low resolution file. Sorry about that, but I think you can still see that that's the logo. So you could use a logo or a color block, glyphs, clip art. There's a flower shaped text frame right here that they use to kind of draw out a specific piece of information, separate it from the rest. So these little graphic elements add a lot. If it was just the text, it might be a little bit more boring. Like now it's more exciting, more fun. And then here again, we have another example of a color block that kind of makes the title, Your Studio Brochure title, pop more. If it was just white, it wouldn't be as nice. It almost makes it look like that text frame is like a business card or something sitting on top. It just kind of gives it more prominence. So that's what color blocks can do, and you probably never knew they were called that. They're used usually on any brochure. You see that a little block of color on top or on bottom. And then also in this case they use parentheses as ornaments, something to accent. It says brochure title. Okay, something to just add some detail, some decor, ornamental designs. So that could also be a glyph. Like above Your Studio, there's a little fancy graphic right there, top and bottom, and it could be a glyph. You could use a glyph, or you could, that looks a little bit too elaborate to be a glyph. I would say it's actually like some Illustrator vector drawing that they might have bought or drawn themselves, depending, but you could use a glyph. So those are graphic elements, really straightforward, simple things that you see all the time, and you can just kind of look at other magazines to get ideas. And then, okay, so then here's the core of what I wanted to show you guys today, and I was hoping to have some feedback so I could see you guys, you could follow along with me in live and just upload it just to see what happened. But anyway, since that's not going to happen, it's okay. If you still want to send me a test, you can. I'll check probably on Tuesday and Thursday. So let me just show you how to do that now. So pre-flighting your InDesign file to make sure all the links work. Okay, that's really easy. It sounds a little more complicated. And then I'm going to show you that in just a second. And then package your document so that InDesign can put all your links and fonts in subfolders for you. So that's pretty cool. I actually didn't realize that they put the fonts in a folder for you. So that was new for me, but it's super easy. All of these steps, they're like 5-minute steps. Well, depending on how thorough you want to be. And then zipping your folder is also really easy because once your document's all packaged up, you can zip it so that the file size is smaller and that it's just one upload instead of uploading a bunch of folders. You can just upload the smaller thing. And then submit it into the text submission link. It's supposed to be test, not text. Test submission link, which I have in Blackboard. Let me show you. Oh yes, and then we're going to export it to PDF, which is a portable document folder. Let me just, before I get into that, I want to just quickly show you in Blackboard what I'm talking about. So if you go to assignments and you go to week 13 and 14 final project, and click, then you go down to the bottom. Here's my test submission link. So whatever you submit in there, it's just like, so I can look and check and see if everything's right and then just give you feedback about that. If you submit it Friday night, that's probably not a good idea because I have a class for Photoshop the next day and I probably won't get to it. So definitely do it by Thursday. Don't put anything in here after Thursday night because I probably won't look. And there won't be time to give you feedback before it's due. Okay, so anyway, that was the test submission link. So if you want to go ahead and pre-flight and package your document and have me look at it, then that would be the way to go. Okay? Now the other thing is, so let me go over the steps of pre-flight packaging and zipping up your document just by showing you. So I'm going to open up my Jeremy's Trifold Brochure Redone file here. Let me zoom out so you can see both pages. So here it is, it's done. I made sure it had crop marks. I made sure it had all the object styles. I've actually got 2 going on here because I have one for my photos, for the frames that's on all of them. It's interesting. There's an override symbol there. I'm not sure why. But it says fitting options, crop amount, right crop amount. Interesting. Okay, I don't know why that is. Anyway, so what I'm going to do is just check to make sure everything's assigned to some sort of style. Text frame game is assigned. But you just need to have one object style, and you just need to have one character style, which I have 2, but you just need to have one. And then paragraph styles, you need to have one description. So if I select, all the paragraphs should be assigned to at least one style. So if I click anywhere, it should highlight a paragraph style that has been assigned to. Man, I need some water. Okay. Now, that being said, okay, so I've met all my criteria. I have my color block. See? A little color block. It's really simple. I have a color block here too that I used in InDesign. Those are color blocks. It's just the black on top and the black on bottom so that the text can be separated from the image itself and have more prominence. Okay, and then also be more legible. And then there's color blocks here too for each little header for the animals for the game. And then what else was I gonna say? Oh yeah, so now what I want to do, if all my criteria is met, is I want to just pre-flight. So there's a little option down here. Right now it says no errors. No errors, that's a good thing. That's what you want. Green means go, it's ready to go. No errors. If it's red, that means you have errors. That means maybe some links are missing, okay? Now, the pre-flight is actually really complicated if you want it to be. Basic is usually the default, but you can customize this. Basic, let's see, where is it? if I go to, I think, define profiles. So under Preflight, you can have different profiles where it checks for certain things. So I'm just going to show you what that looks like, even though I never mess with this. Okay, so right now I'm using the basic. So all it checks for is that there's no overset text, which means, you remember how when there's a little plus sign for your text frame because some text is like hiding because there's not enough space in the frame for it? So this checks for that. If anything's overset, it will alert me with that little, right now it says green, Preflight enabled, no errors detected. It will give me an error message. And then also if fonts are missing, it'll give me an error message. If there's, I don't know what unresolved caption variable means, but that has to do with text. There's little drop down menus for each thing, images and objects. Right now I haven't checked off any of these, but if I were to check one, for example, image resolution, oh, cannot modify basic profile, never mind. Okay, so I have to create a different profile. I can't modify. Basic is basic. You're not allowed to mess with it, I guess. But I can create my own and then have it check for image resolution, meaning like make sure that all the images are 300 dpi, they're quality high pixel images, but I know that mine are anyways. They're huge, huge files, like 25 megabyte files. There's no way that they're not big enough. So I'm not worried about that. So I'm not having it check for that, but that's an option. You can do this. It can check for like so many things. Right now, really the focus is, are there links that are missing or modified? Inaccessible URL links. Okay, so right now it's already checking for that. So for this project, I would just leave it on general. It's checking to make sure all your text is showing up and that your links are all good. And then hit OK. So right now my Preflight is good. So that's all I need to worry about. I can close my Preflight panel, which again I accessed by double clicking on the little Preflight icon. Okay, really simple. And then after that, when everything's good, you have no errors, then you go to package, file, package. Okay, they have a shortcut for it, but I'm not going to bother to memorize that. Okay, now look, it also gives you another summary. Okay, 4 fonts are used, 0 are missing. Links and images, 23 links are found, 0 modified or missing. But 21 use RGB color space, which in certain cases, like you want to have it when you go to print at CMYK mode, which means cyan, magenta, yellow, black color space mode. RGB is technically only for use on the web, but generally when you import pictures from a camera, they're usually in RGB because they're all digital. You have to convert them to CMYK in Photoshop, but I never bothered with that. I just took his images straight from his camera, put them in a folder, and I didn't mess with most of them because there's so many. He kept changing, wanting me to change out all the photos again and again, and so I wasn't going to edit each one. And in this circumstance, I don't think it'll make a big difference. What happens is the printer will switch it to CMYK, and the color will be different slightly. Most people will never know that it's been altered. So that's the only reason why you'd want to do that on your own. Like if you are really particular about the color of an image, if you edited it just perfectly in RGB and then you forgot to switch it to CMYK, then when the printer switches it to CMYK, it often gets like darker and like the colors change a little bit. And if you're doing like this, if you're a photographer and you're doing like some sort of huge portrait, then you might notice. You might not like that. So that's a good reason to change it to CMYK, so you can just edit it a little bit more to the way you want it. And then you'll know it to print like that. In theory, again, every printer is also different. Each machine prints slightly different colors. So it's hard to have control over that. So anyway, I don't care if it's in RGB mode. I think I said, oh, it should be in CMYK mode, but that's ideal. But I think it's okay if it's not. Anyway, at this point, all my links are there. It gives me that little summary. Let's see, fonts. Tells me what fonts I have, links and images. It tells me all the images that I've used. and their status. They're all linked. Oh, I have one image that's in CMYK, it tells me. Colors and inks. Print settings, blah, 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 blah. Okay, whatever. Pretty much good to go. I don't expect you to go through this whole thing except just check your links. And then hit package. Okay? And then what comes up after this is your instructions. Yeah, you get to put in little instructions, and I already did. I put in my name and my phone number. This is my office number at school. And then I just said, okay, it's a trifold brochure printed on 11 by 18 inches, double-sided, and folded twice. Okay, that's it. Hit continue. Now it's going to tell me, where do I want to save my package folder? I'm going to save it to my desktop so that it's easy to find. Package it up. Okay, restrictions apply to copying font software. Okay, you are required to comply with applicable copyright law and the terms of your license agreement. For font software license from Adobe, your license agreement provides that you may take a copy of the fonts. Okay, because basically what's happening is when you package your document, it's making a copy of all the fonts that you used. So here's a copyright warning, because I think what it is only the printer can only use that font in your document. They may not use it for other projects. Something like that, because it's making a copy of all your fonts. Here we go. Let me show you. Hit OK. Blah, blah, blah. Here it goes. Packaging the links can take several seconds. Yes, because it's making a copy of every photo that was used in this document, saving it in a separate folder, and then also making copies of all the fonts. There's only 4, but anyway, it still takes a few seconds. Here, let me show you. So this was my original trifold folder, and now I have a second one that was just created 2 seconds ago. I double click. Here's my instructions. And then here's the actual InDesign file. Here's the links. These are only the photos that were actually used, because in my other folder here I had a lot of extra images that were not used. But this only pulled, when I packaged my document, it only pulled the ones that were actually linked, placed into the file. Like, ignored the rest. And these are all copies. So I still have the original images here, but now I have a copy of the ones that are used. So I have 2. Anyway, just want to let you know that, but you'll see if you actually do it, then you'll get it. So that's why I wanted to just have you guys do it while I was there. Anyway, whatever. Okay, document fonts. It also created this font folder, and so now all of the fonts that I have used are now available for the printer. So when I send this folder, they will have them, and they can download them and install them into their font book, and then they won't have to replace a font that they don't have with something that they do have. So we won't have to worry about that. What Terry Ryberg says in the book is that replacing fonts can be disastrous, because even though some of them may have the same name, like Garamond Pro or whatever, for some reason, like some of the fonts for the same font for a PC and the same font for a Mac can be slightly different in design and like take up different amounts of space, even though it's like 12, both are 12-point font, both are Garamond Pro, but for some reason, like, they're slightly different, so your whole entire spacing could be off. A title that fit inside a square, for example, let me show you. A title that fit perfectly, like this World Class Fishing one, fits really well right now, but if it converted to a different font, it might not fit. And that could be a real disaster if it was replaced with something that was bigger, a font that took up more space. And all of a sudden, things did not fit. Like, this is one page, okay? But if there were pages and pages where, like, there were missing, things were just, like, overset because the font was replaced, it would be a nightmare. So that's one reason why you might want to send the printer your fonts. And you do this by packaging up your document. Again, that was file package. So let me just go back to my PowerPoint really quick. So we did the pre-flight. That was pretty easy. And then we packaged. And whoops, I don't know what I just did there. Okay, we packaged the document, so put all the links and fonts in subfolders. Now we just want to zip the folder. So this is not mandatory to zip your folder, but I usually do it because right now, if you look here, let me just right click for the context menu and just see how many. See, get info. Info should show me how big this file is. It's going to be pretty big. Wow, it's 178 megabytes. Usually email can only send a max of 25 megabytes. So there's no way that this can be sent over email. However, a print shop usually has a website where you can upload your files directly to the printer. So you could technically upload this file just up to the website. You don't have to email it. You cannot email it. It's too big. You could also stick it on a thumb drive and bring it to the printer. What I like to do though is if I control click this again or right click for the context menu, I should be okay, move to trash, open a folder actions, setup, show view options, duplicate, make alias. There should be a way to zip it. That is interesting. I don't know why I can't do that. Okay, on a PC, I know how to do it. You right click it and then you send to zip file. But for some reason, it's a little different on here and I can't remember. See if I'm going to pause for a sec. Compress. And so I just did that. I compressed it. But I don't know if it really made a big difference. At any rate, if you have a PC and you zip your file just by right-clicking and then you go File Send To, which is one of the options, and then Zip Folder, it can take off like maybe 5% to 10 to 5% of the memory, the space. So in this case, it still doesn't make it still doesn't make a huge difference. It was like, what was the memory? Get info again. It was 170 megabytes. I don't think after I compressed it, I don't think it did anything. I think it was still 178 megabytes before. But when I zipped it on a PC, it took off like 10 megabytes. So it was a little bit smaller of a file. Still can't send it by email, like I said. But that's okay, because a printer should be able to accept this. You should be able to upload it to their website. And then they get it from there. I don't know. It depends on how advanced, I don't know what the word is, like my print shop, I don't even know if we have that option actually. It's such a small operation. But all the other print shops that I've sent stuff to, like online, there's a way to upload it. So let me check something. But mostly we just work with people in town, so they bring it on a thumb drive. And like, so what am I going to show ya? Let me remind myself. Okay, so I showed you how to sort of zip it. I could do it at school just fine, but I'm using a Mac now. So, and then also submit. Okay, so now you can just upload this. So I want to show you what I want from you guys is this whole packaged folder, okay, with all the folders inside, and I just want you to submit. So I'm going to click here and then submit. So browse computer, I'm going to go to my desktop and then find the folder. Oh, here it is. It's zipped. Okay, I don't know why it didn't show up. Zip. Oh, yes. I didn't see it. Okay, it made a zipped copy. And I just didn't see it. But this is 123 megabytes, so it's substantially less. I want you to do that and upload it. Okay? And then I'm not going to attach it right now because it's going to take a long time for this to go to upload. It's 123 megabytes. But I want to show you one more thing. The last thing I wanted to show you was how to export to a PDF, and this is the format that I always use. I almost actually never send the zip folder that I showed you to the print shop. I usually just export my file to a PDF, and the beauty of this is, first of all, it's a really small file because you don't need to include all those images that are placed in InDesign. You just, it just packages it all together and flattens it. If any of you guys use Photoshop, you understand, like when things are flattened, it's like all the layers are gone, and it's the file size is so small, so I can email it. And also, when it's flattened, the text is not editable, so I don't need to worry about sending them the fonts. So I almost just always use this format instead, portable document format. And you don't need to have InDesign to view it. The way that it was before, when you package something, you are packaging the InDesign file, okay? Which means that the person who receives it needs to have InDesign to see it. Now, with the PDF, anybody can read it with Adobe Reader. And I believe pretty much 99.9% of people nowadays have Adobe Reader. If you don't, you can at least look at it in your browser. Like if you open it in your Google email, you should definitely be able to see it, even if you don't have Adobe Reader on your actual computer, I would assume. But you never know. There's some people who have really old computers out there, and they may not have Adobe Reader. Anyway, okay. That being said, I love PDFs. So I actually want you guys to send me a PDF as well, so that I can see that the zip file that I get from you, what it's supposed to look like. You know, even if for some reason I can't download your font, at least I know what it's supposed to look like in your PDF. The images will be embedded. Anyone can read it. The fonts are embedded. When I say sort of, I don't know. Sometimes I've had a little something glitchy, but I think they probably fixed that now. And it's not editable. The downside is that it's not editable. That can be an upside or a downside. It's not editable, so nobody can mess with it. It will stay exactly the way it was sent. But if you see a typo, you have to go back to your InDesign file, fix it there, and then export it again to a PDF. Save it as a PDF. And then I wanted you to submit to the test. This is actually not text submission link, okay? If you want me to give you some feedback, again, before Thursday night, or I'm not going to get it. And then you submit it to the actual submission link. If you submit it to the test submission, that's just like, oh, you know, I would like your feedback about it to make sure that I've done everything correctly. All right, let me just quickly show you how it's done. So I'm going to open up my folder here, my file, I mean, and then go File. Instead of Save As, okay, this is a little bit tricky to remember, okay? You're not saving this as another InDesign document. You're actually exporting it. Now you're exporting it. It's like this process where InDesign goes and flattens everything and creates this other document called PDF. So remember, it's not File Save As, it's File Export, okay? And it exports it to Adobe PDF for print. And what I'm going to choose is high quality. And in the export dialog, there's a lot of options. You can export just one page of it, or you can export all. I like all, okay? You can do a range, like if you have a book, you can just export like pages 4 to 6, just depending on what you want to do. I'm just going to leave it at all. That's like everything I'm just going to leave by default except for marks and bleeds. I want to do all printers marks and the bleed marks. This way you can see where this document will be cropped. And when you print it out, just to make sure it looks the way you want, you can crop it out because you'll have the bleed marks. So now hit export and then wait a couple seconds and it should appear in your folder, which I had just let it save to the same folder that the InDesign document is in. Now if I double click on my PDF, look how, I want to show you guys how tiny this document is. It's only 5.5 megabytes. So I could send 2.5 of these via one email. It's so small. But it's still print quality. I mean, it's not like kilobytes, it's megabytes. This is print quality. It's just that now it's only 2 pages worth, whereas before, in this zip folder, I have to include all the images themselves, every single one, okay? So now I'm just going to open this up. Okay, thanks. I'll be right there.
Okay.
All right, and then that's my son. Oh, you can close it. I'll be right there. Okay, so my son's like giving me the cues. Okay, so this is what it looks like when it's a PDF. You can email this to your printer as well. This is print quality. It just means they cannot edit it. But now I don't have to worry about them having the fonts or them having the images. This is exactly what they will have. I will have this what you see is what you get. You know, it's like this is what will be printed. Exactly. And I recommend you printing this out first because you want to make sure there's just typos that you do not see until you're actually holding a piece of paper in your hand with a red pen, like ready to mark it up. On screen, I miss so many errors. There's so many things. Also, because I'm usually looking at it zoomed out, I might not notice, like right here, I'm starting to see something that's bugging me. That the R is blending into the R, the word R-A-R-E. That's kind of annoying, so I'd have to go back into InDesign and fix that. It's a small thing, but I don't like it. Okay, and then, yeah, anyway, I recommend you guys printing this out, and then I want you to go back to Blackboard, okay? Where's Blackboard? And you see how you can upload, you can browse, you can attach another file. So browse. This time I'm going to go to my trifle. I have so many folders now because I made so many copies, but this is the one I want, the redone with the crop marks, which I can see there's a little preview of it. Hit open. Now I have my two attachments. I have my PDF and my zip folder with the actual InDesign file and images, links, and fonts. So that's what I want from you, all of those, okay? Then hit submit, and I think it'll take a while to upload because it's a lot. But that's it, and good luck, you guys. It was a pleasure to have you in my class. I can't wait to see your final project. I'm really excited, and thank you for all the patience that you guys have had with regards to this being a first time class. There's been some bumps and I haven't been able to meet some deadlines, but yet you guys have been real troopers, and I think pretty proud of all the things that we've covered this semester. So hopefully you guys learned a lot and really enjoyed the class, and you can use it. All the things that we learned you can actually use in real projects day to day. That was my goal. All right, and take care. Bye.